Today is all about the perfect downswing, and we're going to be talking about one key move, one key concept in perfecting a downswing so that you're not lost, you know what to do so you can hit the golf ball much more consistently, much more frequently, and overall improve your golf. So let's get stuck in.
All this money on me. Cash rules all around me. All this money around me.
So briefly, before we discuss that key move and the way down to help us move more repeatedly, let's just break the golf swing down so we can understand in its simplest form how we want to move in the golf swing. So a move that I find most people can understand, golfers and non-golfers alike, is if the golf ball was to be at head height and I was to make a swing at that golf ball back and through, that's a movement that most people can do relatively simply. Now the golf swing is no different to that move really, however we're hitting a golf ball that's not at head height but down at the floor. So in order for me to go from head height to floor height, you'll see how I've now tilted at the hips. So I've bent over, essentially changing the tilt of my axis, being somewhat the spine and the sternum, to more of a 45-ish degree angle. So in order to hit that golf ball more repeatedly or more consistently, like I would at that height down here, I have to keep that spinal tilt, that axis, quite repeatedly on the way back and through. So on the way back, in order to do that, you'll notice how I go into an element of left side bend. And on the way through, you'll notice how I go into an element of right side bend. So essentially, left side bend helps to maintain that on the way back, and right side bend helps us to maintain that on the way through. So today we're talking about a really efficient move on the way down to help us create that move more efficiently. So we really want to discuss and explore this element of right side bend on the way through to maintain our spinal tilt, that axis of our golf swing, much better, and that's going to lead to much more consistent golf shots in general throughout our move. Now to start with, it's important to note that we can't just take away from this video an element of let's just right side bend, because what's going to happen is we're just going to start dumping the golf club into the floor. That might help us to shallow and get the golf club more behind you and all that kind of stuff that people like to see on YouTube. But if we're talking about consistency and creating a much more consistent downswing and a bit of a downswing thought at which we can make quite user-friendly here, simply side bend on the way down isn't going to quite be the one. However, that is an element of this. So if I right side bend and I need to get that golf club to the golf ball without coming out of posture, essentially, to lose that tilt, I'm going to have to add an element of rotation and shift through the golf ball. So if I can right side bend and I can add in an element of rotation and shift, then I'm going to keep that axis of my spine through the golf ball much more efficiently from there. So if you're someone who is a flipper of this world, if you're someone who gets the shaft quite steep in transition, or just generally see those high weak shots, especially high weak shots to the right that you don't like to see, this understanding, this concept, essentially swing thought of side bend to right and having rotation and shift on the way down in order to help maintain that tilt, that axis that our body needs to swing on in order to create a more repeatable move, is going to be a really important key for you here. And now we're going to explore some really good drills which you can deploy to help you understand and implement this move much more consistently. So 3 really good drills that you can deploy here to help maintain that element of tilt by side bending and rotating, shifting through the golf ball, is drill number 1 is a drill that a fantastic golf coach from Denmark shared with me once, is to essentially do these in a quote pitch shot fashion. So if you set up completely as normal and you just excessively tilt your hips to the left, that will now create quite an excessive right side bend. So we want to hit some 3/4 shots, maintain that side bend, finishing in quite a lent position like that. Essentially the goal here is to excessively create that right side bend and maintain it throughout the golf swing simply by rotating through, so your axis that you're rotating off is more posted off that left side, which creates that tilt, and now you're just making that rotational move through in order to maintain that lovely shape and create that impact and move through the golf ball that you're looking to encourage. Drill number 2, and really refers to you guys who are kind of throwers over the top of the golf ball, so lose your bend in that fashion, is if you step to the golf ball completely as normal and just grip the golf club with your left hand or lead hand. So left hand is a right-handed golfer, right hand if you're a left-handed golfer, and just place the golf club or the butt end of the golf club just outside the golf ball and get back into your address position. So now this right hand's going to be free, and what I want to train is how we move through the golf ball this way, and you're going to create a feeling. So you guys who would have lost your bend usually quite early in the backswing, and even more so on the downswing, essentially creating that throw because you've side bended more to the left rather than the right. It's going to help because instead of your notion, if I had a golf ball in my hand, I would have been throwing it over to the left, essentially spinning out. This is going to help you to have that side bend to the right and feel like you are throwing that golf ball more down the line. You can see by doing so how I'm going to achieve a real solid element of right side bend. So if I do that from face on, see how I have to have right side bend and shift through the golf ball in order to throw that golf ball down the middle. So then when you go to emulate that move with a golf club in your hand, I'm feeling like I'm throwing that golf ball under that golf club. That's going to create that right side bend, which I'm looking to improve throughout the swing. And the last drill, which is perfectly my most preferred drill and favourite drill on a purely personal level, is to set up the golf ball as normal. Stand straight up, so your bolt upright, golf club is out in front of you, so at a sternum height. Rotate round 90 degrees to the left, right side bend towards the golf ball, and return the golf club back to the ball. You've now created the perfect impact position with right side bend, rotation and shift on the way through. Now essentially just hit a little pitch shot on the way through, returning back to that position which you've just created. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope the downswing now makes more sense, and we've got a few really good drills which we can take away there to implement to help understand that further. For individual coaching, either online or in person, feel free to message me and follow me on the SKILLEST app. Search David Atkins and drop me a message for any questions there at all. If you have any further questions, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section down below or follow me on any of my socials. Until then, look forward to catching up.